All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something really interesting. How to take a workplace that feels like a monologue, where only one voice really gets heard, and transform it into a true symphony, where every single instrument is vital to the music. Does this sound familiar? You're in a meeting, a big news strategy gets announced, everyone nods along, and then, weeks later, absolutely nothing has changed. It leaves you wondering, is anyone really listening here? Well, there's actually a name for that feeling. It's called the organizational echo chamber. It's what happens when change is just broadcast from the top down, instead of being a real conversation. One story dominates, and any chance for real, meaningful transformation just stalls out. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to really unpack this idea of the echo chamber. Then, I'll show you a kind of map for finding all the voices that are missing. After that, we'll get into the score and instruments you need for real change, what this means for leadership, and finally, how you can start composing your own organization's symphony. A lot of organizations live right here in this echo chamber. It's almost the default setting. It's a whole system built on a single dominant story. And look, it might seem efficient on the surface, but it's actually incredibly fragile because it ignores all the complexity it needs to actually adapt and thrive. So how in the world do you break out of that? Well, just talking louder isn't going to cut it. The real shift starts with better listening. And to do that, you need a totally new kind of map, a tool that helps you see who's missing from the conversation entirely. See, to escape that echo, you need a way to visualize things, a way to actually see how the number of voices and the passage of time are shaping your workplace. This isn't just about taking a quick snapshot. It's about understanding the whole living, breathing system. Okay, so here's the map. It's built on two really powerful ideas. The vertical axis is all about voice. At the bottom, you have monologic, that's one single dominant voice. And at the top, you have polyphonic, which means many, many voices are heard. Then the horizontal axis is time. On the left is synchronic, which is like a single snapshot in time. And on the right is diachronic, which is all about how change unfolds over time.
Now, what's so fascinating and a little scary is where most organizations get stuck. Right down here, in the bottom left corner. Monologic and synchronic. One voice, one moment. That, right there, is the echo chamber. The whole goal is to make the journey to the top right, the symphony, where all these different voices get to co-create the future, together, over time.
So making that journey from the lonely echo chamber to a full-blown symphony, well, it takes more than just a map. You need a new score to play from, and you absolutely need the right instruments to bring that music to life. The score is basically a set of principles for authentic communication, what we call true storytelling. And the instruments? Those are the practical, systemic tools from a framework called GrowthOD that actually make the change happen on the ground. Let's take one core principle from our new score: make room for other stories. I mean, it sounds simple, right? But you can't just tell people, hey, speak up, if the entire system is designed to shut them down. You need a specific instrument built to amplify those other voices. And that instrument is called SOULS. It stands for Self-Organizing, Understanding, Leadership Systems. Think of it as a structured way to get away from that old idea of a single heroic leader and move towards a more collective, ensemble approach to getting things done. And this is the really crucial part. SOULS isn't just a nice suggestion box. It's a systemic change. It actually institutionalizes the idea of shared authorship. The leader's job fundamentally shifts from being the author of the final word to being the organizer of the great dialogue. It makes sure different perspectives don't just get a hearing, they become woven into the fabric of the organization. Okay, here's another key principle from the score. Reflect on the stories. But let's be honest, reflection without any real consequence, that's just talk. To make people's voices truly matter, you need an instrument that gives them weight, an instrument with teeth. And that powerful instrument is called SEAM. That's the socioeconomic approach to management. And what it does is brilliant. It connects the stories people are telling about what's not working directly to the bottom line by putting a price tag on all those hidden costs. Want to see its power in action? Check this out. By using SEAM to surface all the hidden costs of dysfunction, one organization recovered $3.2 million. They started calling it the story tax, the actual price they were paying for not listening to their people. And you know what? It's not just about the money. After making employee voices truly consequential, meaning their stories led to real structural change,
one company saw their turnover drop by a whopping 38%. It's simple. When people feel heard, they stay.
So, as you can probably tell, this whole approach demands a fundamental rethink of what leadership even is. It's all about moving away from a model of control and towards one of, well, orchestration.
Just look at the difference here. Over in the echo chamber, the leader is the author. They deliver a pre-written script, and their main job is to stamp out any disagreement. But in the symphony, the leader is a conductor. They provide the score, those guiding principles, and their job is to take all that dissonance, all those competing voices, and transform it into something beautiful and complex.
This quote just nails it. It captures the entire mindset shift in one single idea. Leadership isn't about forcing your own story on everyone else. It's about hosting. It's about creating the conditions for the stories that are already living inside the organization to finally be heard.
So you might be asking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually start composing my own organization's symphony? Well, it comes down to building a set of core practices right into the DNA of how you operate. This is the flow. The core practices. You start by designing leadership as an ensemble, using souls. Then you put a real price on the gap between what you say and what you do, using SEAM. That forces the team to build new muscles for handling tension, which is where a practice called GLOW comes in. From there, you make this new story official with PRView. And finally, you build in a routine for constantly testing your assumptions with AAM. It's not a checklist, you see. It's a continuous cycle for building a much more adaptive and resilient organization. And that really brings us to the final question, one for you to think about. Is your organization just performing from a rigid, top-down script, just destined to play the same old notes over and over again? Or is it composing a living score, one that has room for every voice to contribute to a future that hasn't been written yet?